Hello everyone. This is the fifth video of my database management systems practical video series. Today I'm going to do the fifth video of the first day of database management systems. Let's go into the question list. Here's the database management systems question list, and here's the question 5. I'm going to click on it. Okay, here's the question. I'm going to read the question first, and then let's see how we can answer to this question. You can see this question is a little bit bigger than the last questions. I think this video will be a bit long, so I think you will prepare yourself for a bit long video. Okay, let's see the question. The board of directors of New Vision Academy has decided to computerize the informations of all the teachers in the educational institution. The software is being developed by the Tharaka Software Solution. Assume that you are working as a senior software engineer in this company, and you and your team are responsible for creating a database of this software. Create the database according to the instructions given to you as follows. Okay, that's the context, and let's see what we have to do in this question. Create a database called New Vision Academy to store teachers' data. Okay, in this question we have to create a database called New Vision Academy first, and I'm going to do that now. For this question I'm going to use HeidiSQL. This tool we use to graphically view the data inside of our MySQL server. We can also use the Workbench software, which is the official software which came along with the MySQL server, but I'm going to use this third-party software called HeidiSQL. Okay, let's see how we can create a table in HeidiSQL. You just need to right-click on the connection. Here's the connection to our MySQL server. Right-click on the connection and press Create New and Database. Okay, here we have to enter a name to our database. I'm going to enter the name New Vision Academy. Okay, so here I enter the name to our database and just press on the OK button. Okay, that's it. We created a database. Let's find out our database. Just click on the connection again and refresh. That will refresh the database list. Okay, here's the database New Vision Academy. You can see there's no table inside it yet. Let's see what we have to do in the second part of the question. This software has a table called teacher. To store teachers' data, follow the instructions given to create it. Okay, we have to create the table, and here it's going to be only one table in this database. So let's create that. Here's the table name teacher, and inside the table we have to create the attributes. First one is teacher register number with a character length of 10, and it's going to store string values. You can see the data type varchar. That means this attribute is going to store string values. And here's the second one, first name is also going to be varchar and with a character length of 45, and last name, gender, contact number and email. Okay, these are the attributes in this table, and let's create the table now. Let's go to the HeidiSQL again, and when you are creating a table inside of a database, you just need to right click on the table name, not on the connection to our MySQL server, just click on the database and just right click on the database and select create new table. Okay, in this window we have to enter a name to our table. Here I'm going to name it teacher. Okay, and when you are adding attributes to the table, you can see the columns and press on the add button. Here's the first column and I'm going to rename it to teacher rec number. And I'm changing the data type to varchar and set the character length to 10. Okay, here we created our first attribute. I will assign the primary key at the end of this process after I created all the attributes in our table. Okay, let's add the second attribute now. Again press on the add button, rename the attribute to first name and change the length, the character length, the data type is okay, varchar, and the character length to 45. Okay, let's add the third one, last name, and it's also going to be a character length of 45. Okay, let's add other attributes. Okay, here's the last attribute, email, with a character length of 50, and here we created our table, and every table should have a primary key, so I'm going to assign the primary key to teacher register number because this attribute is the most suitable attribute for a primary key, because a register number never repeat in a table or in a record twice. So I'm going to assign the primary key to teacher register number by right click on the attribute and create new index and primary key. Okay, we created the primary key, we assigned the primary key, and you can see the not null checkbox is automatically unchecked, so that's not going to allow null values in our table. So I'm changing the default value to no default value, so it's not going to automatically assign null when there's no value inside a record. So I'm going to uncheck allow null, so it will change the value to no default value. Okay, here we completed our table, and after all of that, press save button in order to create the table. So here we created our table. You can see the attributes in data tab. Okay, here we created our here we completed our second part of the question, and here's the third part. Enter the data shown in the table below in the database table you have set up above. Do not use the graphical method when entering data here. All data must be entered from the query statements. Okay, the question specifically told not to use graphical method. It means we can add data by click on the add button, and we can graphically enter data into the table. So this method is not going to allow in this question. We have to type or we have to create queries in order to insert data into our table. Okay, let's create our query. You can see the data we have to enter to this table teacher. And when we are creating queries in this part of the question, we have to use insert queries. That means we have to insert a new value or new record to our table. So I'm going to use insert queries. Let me show you how to create that insert query. uh, you can start the query by typing insert into. This is where you going to define where your new values are going to store. You have to define the or you have to tell the database name and the table name. Okay, here I define the database and the table name. You can see I defined it by typing the database name and then full stop, and you can see this mark. This is a very special mark. This is also called the grave accent. You have to use the grave accent mark whenever you are defining table names. And here's my table teacher, and then you can use this method. You can use two brackets, and within these brackets you can define a specific table or a specific attribute in our table. But in this case we have to enter every field, or we have to complete every field in our table. So we don't need to specify a attribute or two. So we don't need this method. We can just type values, and then within brackets I'm going to define the end, or I'm going to end the command here. That will be easy. And you can enter your values within these brackets, but in this method when you are not defining a specific attribute or multiple attributes, you have to enter you have to complete every attribute, or you have to enter values into every attribute in a record. You cannot miss any of these, or otherwise it will show an error. So we have to enter every value. When you are entering values, always you have to define the value within two single quotes, and then you can insert your value. I'm going to insert the first value. Okay, this is the value belongs to teacher register number attribute, and then you can separate the value, or you can define the next value by separating these values by using a comma, and then I'm going to use another set of single quotes, and here's the value belongs to first name. And here's the last name. Here's the gender, is a male, and here's the contact number. Okay, here's the last attribute, email. Okay, here we completed our query. You can see our query is complete, and let's execute the first query to verify that there's no errors in our query. I'm going to repeat this query after we verify the validity of this query. Okay, I'm going you can click on this play button, or this blue arrow to execute this query. You can see there's no error pop up when we execute our query. So that means the query is executed, and let's see our whether our data are stored in our table or not. You just need to refresh this table. So click on this refresh button. You can see our data are stored in our table. So that means our query is okay. I'm going to repeat this method to insert our other data. Let me just copy this query, and I'm going to change the values of that query. Let's change the values first. We entered the first or we execute the first query, so we have to change the first one to okay. I entered, or I completed the first query, and here's the third one. Sorry, I completed the second query, and here's the third one. Okay, I completed all the queries. or we can say all the records in our table. So we just need to execute this whole set of queries. I'm going to press the execute button. You can see every query are executed and no errors are shown. So that means our queries are okay. So let's see our data, whether our data is there or not. Okay, you can see all of our data are stored in our table. So that means we complete our fifth question, and I think that's it for this video. You can see the queries, and I'm going to stop this video, and also this is the end of the first question set of the first day of database management systems. So let's see, or let's meet in the question set of day 2, and thank you for watching.